Nintendo has created a method for people to transfer their existing Nintendo Switch console data to Nintendo Switch 2 systems in a way that's similar to transferring from one phone to another. And you can get started with this process before the Switch 2 even comes out. Here's how to have all of your games, save data, user accounts, screenshots, and videos from your old Switch 1 backed up in advance and ready to send to your new Switch 2 system on day one. First things first, this method is most useful for people who no longer want to use their old Nintendo Switch, or who are selling their original Switch in order to purchase their Switch 2. That's because Nintendo's transfer operation will restore your old system to factory default and wipe your data off of the console once the transfer is complete. If you're buying a Switch 2 but you want to keep your Switch 1 as it is with all of its data, then this method is not for you, and we recommend you simply set up your Switch 2 as a new console from scratch before transferring your games and save data manually. You can also use the instructions in this video to transfer system data if you have both systems in your possession at once, as it is largely the same process. Before you start the transfer, make sure that your Switch is charged, if not plugged into the dock or a charger. You'll also need to be connected to the internet, have a user account on your console linked to a free or paid Nintendo Online account, and be running the most recent version of Nintendo's operating system. You can update your Switch system version by going to System Settings, scrolling down on the left to System, and then selecting System Update. Okay, to start the system transfer process, go to System Settings, scroll down to System, and then scroll down the next menu until you see System Transfer to Nintendo Switch 2. Select this option, and then proceed through the menu until you see Make sure the Nintendo Switch 2 console is close by. If you've bought your Switch 2 already, and you want to transfer your Switch 1 data directly to it, then make sure they're both plugged in or are fully charged. Place them close together and select Done. Your consoles should create a local connection to each other and then begin a direct transfer after following the prompts on screen. If, however, you're transferring your saved data before receiving your Switch 2, then select I don't have a Nintendo Switch 2 console yet. Selecting this option will send your Switch 1 console data to Nintendo's servers, where it will be stored in its entirety for up to 1 year. Eventually you'll see this screen, which is the point of no return. You won't be able to stop the process once you press OK here. Once the transfer to Nintendo's servers is complete, you can follow the on-screen instructions to then format your Switch 1 system, which will wipe it of your data. I'd recommend only starting this transfer process in the couple of days leading up to your Switch 2 purchase if you want to keep using your Switch 1 before then, but don't let me stop you from doing it your way. It's important to note that if you don't complete the system transfer within a year of placing the data on Nintendo servers, you will lose that data, as they won't store it for longer than that. You can manage any transfers in progress by logging into your Nintendo account at my.nintendo.com. From the Nintendo account overview page, select Game Systems, where you can see the status of any transfer in progress, as well as instructions for how to send transfer data back to your original Switch system if you change your mind. Now that your data is stored in the cloud and the Switch 1 is wiped, you are safe to do whatever you want to that old thing. Sell it, gift it, throw it in the cupboard to gather dust, use it as a dinner plate, whatever you want. Maybe don't do that last one. Once you have your Switch 2 in hand, follow the initial setup instructions on the console until you are given the option to download your system transfer data from Nintendo's servers. Once the transfer is complete, your user accounts, save data, friends lists, screenshots, videos, and user settings should all be loaded onto your new system, just as they were on your old system. Any digital games you had installed will also start downloading from Nintendo's eShop servers. Now you're all set up for the moment when you get your new console. For more Nintendo Switch 2 help, we have guides on the ins and outs of the new virtual game card system, as well as directions for how to set up family groups. And for all other things Nintendo, gaming, and more, stick with IGN.